It's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead.
So much for tuning to this wonderful radio and TV station this lovely Tuesday morning, the 23rd day in the month of July, the year 2024. This is Unity Train on your radio and TV. Easy. Adamu is my name. Call me Kubi if you like, and I'll be just fine. All right, this is Unity Train, and remember, Unity Train comes your way every weekday, Mondays to Fridays, and once it is 8 o'clock, we start and never stop until it is 9:30 a.m. Today remains the same. This is the first segment, the first 30 minutes, review segment. And so that's what we'll be doing. We just look at issues as we have them trending on our national dailies. And we'll also look at issues from our Plateau State, Nigeria. Thank you so much for being there. We are streaming live on Facebook. You can already connect with us on Facebook at Unity Radio FM/TV. Just I don't do this alone. I have my very own people in whom I have my covering and confidence. All right, so I begin to my immediate right is Barrister Paul Lazaruma. Remember, he sees no reasons to be unbiased in his analysis, and so he'll be coming your way with a big good morning. Barrister.
A very big good morning to viewers and listeners. Good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you are receiving this signal from. Good morning, Kulbi. Good morning, Prof. Thank you for having us here. Here in Jos is a beautiful, bright, cloudy morning with about 23 degrees Celsius.
All right, you've heard it all. You've listened to that. It's the voice of the man who is an unbiased analyst. And again, to my far right is Professor Proveno H. Bar, Dean Faculty of Veterinary Medicine, University of Jos. Remember, that erudite public and current affairs analyst is coming your way, as usual. Good morning, Prof.
Good morning, Kulbi. Good morning, Barrister Zaruma. It's a beautiful morning here from Jos City, Nigeria. Greetings, viewers and listeners from the ZINARIYA Hills, Jos City, Plateau State, Nigeria. If you are in other parts of the world that is not good morning, then good afternoon and good evening. We're glad that you are part of this fantastic and beautiful broadcast on Tuesday, 23rd July 2024. The days are moving pretty fast. We've entered the last half of the year since the beginning of this month. And I want to ask you, how far have you gone? Because half time is over. We've entered the last half of the year. What about those goals, those dreams, those visions, those things you said you will do? How far have you gone? 60%? 70%? 80%? Maybe even 100%. Probably you've not even started, you are at 0%. You can go from 0 to hero before the year ends. You can still attain, you can still achieve, you can still fulfill those dreams. So I want to encourage you to pursue those dreams, those visions, those goals. Remember, they must be smart. And that means specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. Of course, you meet resistance on the way, but your persistence will break every resistance. Remember, there will be difficulty, but in the middle of difficulty lies opportunity. There will be hindrances, obstacles, times when you feel like throwing in the towel. But winners don't quit. Quitters don't win. And you remember, sometimes you might even fail and you need to try again. Keep trying, because failure is not fatal and success is not final. It is the will to continue that counts. So I encourage you, perspire to acquire what you require in life. In case you do not acquire, don't retire. Refire. Refire. Go out there, make a difference in your world. And always remember, to be the change that you want to see in the world.
Oh, that's lovely. Thank you so much, Professor Pavano H. Bamayi. Very quickly, this morning we have a lot coming your way. But before that, we also want to encourage that stay away from just anything that is capable of stirring up or bringing about, that kind of life that doesn't support the idea and the efforts to live together in peace. Stay away from that, in as much as violence is inevitable. But of course, conflict is inevitable, violence is avoidable. That's just what I have to say this morning. So do your best and stay away from that. And tolerate yourself, tolerate those who are part of you, your neighbor. Learn to tolerate each other. So that's what it is this morning. And don't stigmatize people living with disability. We have lots of headlines here. I read them very quickly. This one say, more Plateau schools risk collapse. Governor says, inaugurates committee. 3 dead, others injured in Nasarawa market building collapse. Oh my. Hardship, NLC president advice says Tinubu on how to avert proposed protests. Oh, this and a lot more actually coming your way this morning. But before then, I quickly will talk about, if you want to be part of the training that is coming up this week, please do well to contact me on the usual line that is meant for text messages on this platform, and I'll give you the detail. A lady was here last week telling us about a skill acquisition, and she is by name Peace. All right, this is to learn how to make perfumes, liquid soap, room freshener, and lots more. I find it worthy to bring it up on this platform. This is because it's more or less like a humanitarian service. It's almost free. 5,000 for registrations, and there's chemical, and these skills becomes part of you for whole life. It's just like that. And this is a little what we can do to support Madam Peace to have this done. So if you want to be part of it, call me. Since she has not paid any money for the full session, there's no way we'll be able to give details about this upcoming training. So you might need to call me after the show, and I'll give you the details. Thank you so much. Gentlemen in the studio.
Yes.
Where do we begin? Is this unfortunate thing about from Nasarawa, or where do we just begin? There's also this Dangote issue.
Fantastic issues are trending in the news on various newspapers across the country. Probably let's begin from the NLC president, Joe Ajero, who is giving a counsel to His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu to invite the leaders whom we don't know of the proposed protest on the 29th of July. 29th July and I think 5th August actually. That he should call them and dialogue with them. You know that even during war, enemies, opposing sides sit down and talk. Every war that the world has fought ended at the table of dialogue. And whatever we do, ultimately we have to end up talking to each other. We have to dialogue to understand each other. And so the NLC president feels that Bola Ahmed Tinubu, being the father, should call the children and say, please, let's talk. Why do you want to protest? What can I do so that you don't protest? Already the youths are mobilizing for this protest on the 29th across the country. And here in the north, they designated 3 major places: Plateau State, Kaduna State, and the FCT. That decision has already splitted them. Because just yesterday, the coalition of youth leaders in northern Nigeria came and said they will no more be part of the protest because the protest leaders chose 3 venues in the north. And also they feel that there is an alternative, so they will no more be part of the protest. But the challenge is that when you have protests that don't have really defined leaders, by the time the protest begins, it is anybody's guess how it will end, because you have hooligans, hoodlums, drug addicts, kidnappers, armed robbers, all manner of people, they take over because these are people who are used to violence, and violence doesn't mean much to them. So I think that the counsel of Joe Ajaero, the NLC president, is a wise counsel. This is a great Solomonic wisdom counsel, if I call it. It is like the counsel of Ahithophel, you know, a man that when he speaks, it's as if God is directly speaking. So I think Bola Ahmed Tinubu should seize this opportunity and dialogue with the leaders, whether they're faceless or they have faces. These people have names, they have social media handle accounts and all that, and they can be identified. They have even shown their faces. They have produced videos. Call them, sit with them, make them feel important even by calling them to the State House, dialogue with them and said, how do we avert this crisis? How do we solve the economic hardships you're talking about? Tell me what you think should be done that I am not doing. I mean, that is the way a father should talk, discuss with his children and say, let's solve this problem. We are a family. This problem is ours, all of us, instead of just ignoring them. Of course, the police headquarters has called on the youths and indeed all Nigerians that the protest should not go ahead. Various other leaders across the country, traditional rulers, religious rulers, religious leaders, people of diverse backgrounds have counseled that the protest should not go ahead. But the people who are organizing the protest are not listening. When people are pushed to the wall and they are not able to express themselves, the only way they express themselves is by bursting out in protests. And that is why I think His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu should suspend every other thing he's doing. There is nothing more important now than averting crisis in the country. We've passed through a lot already. We've had enough violence and bloodshed. If anything, the president should remember what happened in 2020 during the NSAS in October. How his own television station, TVC, was burnt and they lost billions of naira in TVC alone. And not to talk about series of other buildings that were burnt all over Lagos and in other parts of the country, and lives that were lost during the NSAS. That should be a lesson for the president who tested firsthand what happened when he was not a president, to do everything within his power to avert this protest.
Okay, Prof, before we look at the issues of Dangote opting to call for anyone who wants to pay the bills and then, of course, to get ownership of the refinery. Before we look at that, you said it's a wonderful advice by
Joe
Ajaero. Now, to call these very people, they have shown themselves only on viral videos. Do you think that will be enough to avert this? Because this is obviously not an organized proposed protest. You hardly would know who is in charge. And of course, everybody who hears about this proposed protest seems to be the leader of the protest. So even if these few individuals who show themselves to be the leaders or organizers of this proposed protest, will it still solve it?
Well, you see, there are always ringleaders in every protest, in every demonstration. Even students, when they organize their protest, sometimes spontaneous. And everybody is just out there. But you will see that there are those cholerics, natural leaders. They will just emerge as natural leaders. Somebody first suggested this protest. We already know him. On social media. And after he did, others also joined. And more joined. And more joined. These are ringleaders, the people that you should call and talk with them. Because the same way they propagated this will be the same way they can douse the tension. And say, well, we think that there is a better way to do this. Of course, it is a fundamental right of every Nigerian to protest. We cannot say don't protest. In fact, if at the end of the day when he meets, they still insist that they want to protest, don't stop them, provide security. The police, the security forces, and the CDC and all the rest of them should be there to protect the protesters, to ensure that it doesn't turn violent. When you do this, you would earn some reputation and you will save the nation a lot of crisis.
That is if they insist to...
That's if they insist. But by the time you sit down with them at the table of dialogue and you say A, B, C, D can be done, I think we can do this, but I need 3 months, I need 6 months, I need 1 year. In fact, those of you who are shouting and making noise, can you please be my advisor on youth affairs? Can you join me? Let's help Nigeria, you know, like IBB, the so-called evil genius Maradona did in those days. Those who were talking too much, Wole Soyinka, he brought him into his government. Taj Solarin, he brought him into his government. You're abusing too much, he'll bring you and say, join me, let's build Nigeria. And by the time you do that, you will silence some of those dissenting voices, and you will have some, you know, input that can help in governance. Now, one of the African countries, there was a problem and crisis. The president sat with the young people and said, what do you want? They said, this is what we want. And they said, you have it. That's all. It ended. Right. So that is the approach. But when you behave as if they're immaterial, they're inconsequential, they don't matter, we'll be making the mistake we made with Boko Haram in 2009 and 2010. We were telling the Nigerian government, these guys are dangerous, do something. They said they are ragtag terrorists. They are of no consequence. They cannot do anything in Nigeria. Today we are losing 100 million naira every day plus due to insecurity. Thousands have died, and our economy was brought down to its knees by Boko Haram and their affiliates. And up to today we are still suffering. If we had done the right thing 15 years ago, 16 years ago, we would not have been where we are today. And that is why this thing must not be allowed. We must not take it, you know, like a joke, because it can snowball into a lot of crisis. It can have ripple effect, and before you know it, many other people will be joining left, right, and center. Even some of the people who have said they will not be part of the protest, don't be surprised. You see them, they just join the protest. So we must be very careful. The government must take this very serious and do everything to avert the protest or ensure that the protest takes place in the most peaceful way possible.
Thank you very much, Prof. Maybe anything to add by Barrister, and then of course we get some updates.
Yes, I think the president is taking a lot of steps to avert the protest. He knew the danger of the protest because the last NSAS protest that took place, Lagos was worst hit during the last NSAS protest, and the president was in Lagos. He saw what happened. He really saw the heat. He saw the pressure. To the extent he traveled out of the country, some people allege that he ran away. Meanwhile, his media handler said, no, it wasn't that he ran away. And there were videos trending how he quickly shook somebody and then jumped into the plane. So you can see that he actually had first-hand hit of the NSAS protest. So that's why if you discover he is taking some remedial steps. But I think the problem is battling with confusion. And the confusion is who are actually the leaders of this organization. Because the protest is a kind of a syphilis. So it is a very difficult moment for the president. And for many Nigerians that are yearning for changes, they have been waiting for this very day. Be that as it may, I think that is why you see the hurried agreement to sign a minimum wage, and there are so many things that are going on now that the president is trying to put in place before that 1st of August. So you can see that
even from July.
Yes, yes, and if you can see there is intense meeting and consistency between the president and Labour even after signing the minimum wage, and the government is also meeting with other stakeholders, and they are also meeting with the security chiefs, and then you can see using security chief to quell this kind of protest will be extremely counterproductive. So so many things are playing out. I believe that the government should do more. That more should be done to cushion this thing, particularly in the areas of price control of fuel. Let us have enough fuel around, and let prices of things drop. Let government bring in some palliative that could bring down the cost of things. That's the only way to control this, to manage this protest. If not, what they are just doing is just cosmetic, and it's likened to treating the symptoms and allowing the disease to prevail. So the government should really wake up and then wake up to its responsibility.
All right, let's have some updates concerning the Dangote refinery.
Yeah, it is very unfortunate that Dangote has even opted for NNPC to buy Dangote. It's quite unfortunate. Some of us greeted the arrival of Dangote refinery with excitement, because I can't really fathom why a country that produces crude oil will be refining its crude oil outside the country for several years. And NNPC cannot explain to us why most of the refineries are functioning after spending humongous amount of money to make them functional. And one of the selling point of the campaign of the APC when they wanted to take over power from the PDP was that they are going to establish each refinery in 6 months. Even though at a point in time, President Buhari himself denied knowing about that promise during his regime, but unfortunately he couldn't revive any refinery for the 8 years he spent in power. And then also there are videos that actually show when APC was desperate to take power from the PDP, Tinubu himself make that statement. So I think if President Buhari was unable to achieve that, I think Tinubu should achieve that. Now, 1 year down the line, no single refinery. And a private individual, is it that the federal government of Nigeria cannot raise up to that 20 billion? Now, it may interest you to know that more than that 20 billion US dollars has been injected into those malfunctional refineries, but up till now, those refineries still remain in comatose. But be that as it may, the position that we are today in this country is that a government that cannot cough out, a government that is wasting trillions of naira and billions of dollars, they couldn't build a refinery. Then a private Nigerian citizen came and then invested over 20 billion USD on that refinery, and then the government are now frustrating it. You can see that these people does not have the interest of common Nigerians in that. It is a disgrace that we are a crude oil producing country. It is a major mainstay of our economy, but we don't have a local refinery that is producing fuel. Just like Prof rightly pointed out yesterday, if they are talking about absence of sulfur in some of Dangote's products, I think that is amendable. They can correct it. They can tell him add this, add that, but I think it's beyond that. They are just playing lip service and playing to the gallery. And then Nigerians are not ready to take in such innuendos. So we are really facing a lot of challenges. We are facing a lot of difficulty. It is a disgrace. It is an embarrassment. It is preposterous that a country that produces crude oil does not have a viable and functional refinery. And a private person that is trying to come. We are not saying that they should not continue importing fuel. If they import site to site the local production, it will bring about viable competition, and it will bring about an objective oil market. But when you only import and import, it only subjects Nigeria to the whims and caprices of the importation paraphernalia and those manipulations. So it is very unfortunate that we are confronted with some of these unfortunate indices, and then the government have shown Nigerians that they are the people that have been frustrating our local refineries, in that they are even frustrating private investors to go into our refinery. It is quite unfortunate that most of the so-called refineries that we have, the other private refineries, apart from Dangote's refinery, they are not actually private refineries. They took our crude oil, refined them outside and bring them in. But if you look at the plan of Dangote's refinery, it is in phases. The first phase, he will be refining part of the product here, and part will be refined outside. Then the second phase is that he will be refining 100% here in Nigeria, which is a very good development. In fact, the government are not only supposed to encourage him, they are also supposed to supply him with adequate incentive. But unfortunately, they are the one now frustrating Dangote.
All right, maybe just a word. It's time for a commercial break, Prof.
You know, Dangote refinery is the 7th largest on earth, because the largest one is in India, and it is the largest in Africa. It sits on, is very gigantic. Viewers and listeners, the Dangote refinery is 7 times the size of Victoria Island. If you've been to Victoria Island, it is 7 times the size of Victoria Island. It is a huge, gigantic project that must not be allowed to fail by all means. Whatever it will take the federal government to do, every political leader, all captains of industries must join hands to support Aliko Dangote and ensure that that refinery project succeeds, because it is going to alleviate a lot of the problems Nigerians face when it comes to fuel scarcity in the country, including even gas, diesel, and the rest of them. So we must join hands with Aliko Dangote and ensure that that project succeeds. That's why I'm happy that the National Assembly is trying to also intervene. Everybody needs to intervene. If that project fails, then we have failed as a country.
Thank you, Barrister Paul Zaruma. Thank you, Professor P.H. Mayi. Our listener and viewer, it's time for a commercial break. We'll be right back just after it. Please stay tuned.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the worrisome increase in the activities of illegal financial operators, IFOs, which threaten public trust and the stability of the Nigerian financial system. The FSRCC and NBC hereby advises the general public to refrain from dealing with unlicensed financial operators who deceive individuals with unrealistically high investment returns. Make sure to verify the licensing status of such companies and schemes on this website. To report any suspicions of illicit financial activities, call 0700 225 5226, 0800 225 5226, or +234 817 665 6273. Let's work together to uphold the integrity of Nigeria's financial system. Announcer, FSRCC.
Pay attention, it starts from the foundation. Everybody needs somebody. You turn a blind eye and care nothing less. Say it's just business, all about the money. You are so unbothered as long as they pay. Say it's just business, all about the money. You know they're on a fast lane, but you've got business to run. So you look away the other way.
It concerns you. It kill love, it kill dreams. It land people for jail. War against drug abuse.
Get ready to be entertained and inspired by the incredible stories around the globe. Don't miss out on the excitement. Hello at Work is an ultimate TV program that brings to you the interesting stories and daily happenings worldwide. Join us Mondays and Thursdays 10 a.m. as we dive into the daily happenings and stories. Tune in and stay. Say hello to the world as you bring in your ideas, as it is a perfect blend of entertainment and information. Get ready to stay up to date while being entertained.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here.
Thank you so much. I'm so glad to say welcome back on today's edition of Unity Trend on Unity 3.3 FM, Unity TV. We are streaming live on Facebook at Unity Radio FM/TV Jaws, and of course on YouTube. So do well to join us and begin to throw your comments already, because I will read them later on when the time comes. Well, in case you're just joining us, my name remains Beatrice Adamuiji, but you can call me Kulbi if you like, and I'll be just fine. In the studio earlier on, it was Barrister Paul Zaruma. Still in the studio is Professor Proveno H. Bamayi. This is the second segment of Unity Trend this morning, and we have a topic of discussion this morning, and it has something to do with you, and it promises to be very, very interesting. Preventing building collapses in Nigeria. That's what it is. My guest happens to be a colleague to Professor Proveno H. Bamayi, so automatically this tells you that Professor P.H. Bamayi becomes my co-anchor this morning. So I'll let him introduce his colleague being our guest in the studio this morning. Prof, please, just go on. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kulbi, Beatrice Adamuiji, wonderful anchor. Viewers and listeners, we are glad that we're discussing something very, very crucial, very important, and that is preventing building collapses in Nigeria. And this beautiful morning in Nigeria, in other parts of the world, maybe afternoon, evening, we are privileged to have somebody with vast experience in this field, a very senior professor in the University of Jos, somebody who has already reached the bar when it comes to being a professor. He's an erudite scholar, well experienced, a researcher extraordinary, a man who has seen it all. And we're privileged to have him on the studio, in the studio of Unity FM Radio and TV. I'm talking about Professor O.F. Job. Professor O.F. Job of the Department of Building, Faculty of Environmental Sciences, University of Jos, Nigeria, is here with us to talk about preventing building collapses in Nigeria. And so we are glad to have you, Prof. Please say good morning to our viewers and our listeners.
Good morning, everyone. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Prof,
Yes.
Professor Bamayi, let's just begin by having a background of what happened to us on the plateau. It's just barely more than a week now.
It's 11 days thereabout.
So let's just have a background before we allow a professor to now tell us how possible we can prevent such.
Absolutely. On the 12th of July, viewers and listeners will recall that we had a major tragedy here in Jos City, Plateau State, Nigeria. And that is the collapse of the Saint Academy school building. And it claimed, just this morning, the death toll has been updated to 24. 24 people died from that collapse. Professor Job, I was just going through some documents online, and they indicate that just between January and July this year, we've had at least 22 building collapses in Nigeria. And that is alarming. Yes. Just between January and July 2024, at least 22 buildings have collapsed in Nigeria. And this is of great concern. And that is why the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute set up a technical committee to investigate these rampant building collapses and what can be done about it. I'm glad to also inform our viewers and listeners that Professor Fred Job is the chairman of the committee set up, a technical committee, to report on the collapsed building at St. Academy, Busabuji, Jos North Local Government Area, Plateau State, and related matters. Other members of that committee include Engineer Dr. Ket Kuka. We quoted him some time ago here because he studied, he was I think the lead author in a paper where they reported 6 or 7 building collapses in Jos in the last 5, 6 or so years. And then Engineer Oke Exima is also a member. TPL Rahila Chiroma is a member. Engineer Philip Dashibil and others are members of this high-powered committee set up by MBRI, Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, Abuja. So this is a committee at the national level set up from the Nigerian Building and Road Research Institute, Abuja. Professor Fred Job is the chairman of this committee. And we would like Prof to begin by telling us why these rampant building collapses in Nigeria. I think that's a good place to begin from.
Thank you very much. Why it happens? Indeed, there are several reasons why building collapsed. There are, from the perspective of the natural occurrence as well as the non-natural occurrences. Under the natural occurrence, we do have tornadoes, we have flooding, we have wild wind, and several other natural occurrences. But the one that do happen more specifically to us here in Nigeria is the non-natural occurrences, which has to do with and we normally target the man-made occurrences, and this is avoidable. There are several causes of this, so I categorize them into 2, the natural and the non-natural reasons for the collapse of building.
Okay. Now, this let's maybe talk about our own building collapse, and that is the St. Academy building collapse. Is that one natural or is man-made?
It is man-made. Okay. It is a man-made one, and it's also avoidable. But incidentally, some people did not do what they ought to do, and as such, the building collapsed. And that's just the reason why it collapsed.
Well, some people said that it's natural because that there is a flood and the terrain there, that there was a problem, so they should not be blamed. In fact, somebody said that nothing was wrong with their building, but that it just suddenly collapsed.
A building doesn't just collapse that way. Okay. It must give warning. It must give sign. There will be a sign of distress. And when this distress happens, we can notice that from the cracks. We can notice that from the vibration. We can notice that from even the walls, soaking of the walls with water. We know that deterioration can occur in buildings because buildings are living organisms, just like human beings, that deteriorate with time. And the heart of deterioration is the water. When the soil has soaked water wherein the foundation is founded, there's tendency of such. But because of such, we used to design against it. And when we do not follow the appropriate design, then we definitely have what we had that happened the other day. That is where the building collapsed, and many people at St. Academy.
Yes. Now, Prof, you know, when you are outside the shores of this country, I know you've been to some of these developed countries, you see skyscrapers. These buildings can go as high up as 1,000 meters, yes, you know, in the sky or even beyond. And we don't hear of collapses. What magic are they doing? That is it that we cannot do it in Nigeria, or we don't want to do it? That our own buildings, just a bungalow or 1-2 story, keeps collapsing.
See, there's this what we call non-use of the professionals in the field of building construction. When such happen, then we have the case of the Saint Academy, the collapse. Then the materials used, if the materials are not the right materials, and 3, if the designs were not followed, because a building is expected to carry a specific load, and then we design the building for that particular load. But what we do have now, especially in Nigeria, is this conversion. You see a bungalow being converted to a story building, or 2 or 3 or 4, or even story building being converted to more than what it was designed for. So as such, we will not be able to take care of the load properly, because the load dictates the dimension of the foundation, and the amount of foundation, that is the depth of the foundation, as well as the quality of concrete to be used, and also the reinforcement to be used, as well as the spacing of the reinforcement. So it will be difficult for us to go to the foundation, just as what the Bible used to say, that when the foundation is poor or is destroyed, definitely there's nothing the righteous can do. So the foundation is very, very important. And when it is not adhered to, the rules are not adhered to, and then the non-engagement of the professionals in the field, then we have what we had even at the St. Academy.
I think Prof has already started talking about preventing the building collapses, so I think we'll continue on that note on how we can prevent the collapse of these buildings. You know, many years ago, I personally lost a friend in Abuja, and that was in 2012. They were sleeping, and the building collapsed on them, and he died. It was very painful because he was a young man full of potential, and he was destined to change many things in his family, you know, and probably in the country. But he just died because the building collapsed on them in the night. Now, how do we prevent this rampant collapse of buildings in our country?
Thank you very much. It's a very good question. Preventing it means that we must know the causes, and then we work towards not allowing those things to happen. As I earlier said, for a building to collapse, it must give sign. It must give sign. And when we see those cracks, when we see those dampness, when we see those vibration, then we know that there is problem at the end of the tunnel. So what should we do? How can we prevent it? Use the professionals in the construction of building. We have a lot of people who claim to be builders, whereas they are not builders. When you do not speak in the area where you are trained, or you do not work in the area where you are trained, then that is what we call quackery. We have that in the construction industry as well, where an architect or a quantity surveyor says that he can also supervise the construction process of building, then there is a problem already. So when we do not use the professionals, the right professionals, then we will definitely have this. Then 2, the materials being used. When we decide not to use those materials as it should be, as specified by the structural engineers, then we will have definitely a problem, as we do usually have. Take for instance the reinforcement, which we normally call the rods. These reinforcements are in different sizes. When an engineer specifies a particular size, it must be used. When the engineer specifies the spacing of this reinforcement, it must also be used. It must be adopted. But what we do have now is that people used to shortcut, and then they now go ahead and use a different spacing or use a different diameter of reinforcement. At times, they may not even use, because I talk about conversion into a different use, wherein you will not have the access for you to have that base, the required base to carry the foundation, the column. So as such, there will be a failure from that aspect too. The regulations of constructing building, definitely we will have what we do have.
Yes, Professor Fred Job,
thank you, sir.
You said something at the beginning, that the Saint Academy building collapse was avoidable. I learned that when the building collapsed that some people were there praying. And I know that, these children, whether they're Christians or Muslims, they pray. The teachers, they pray.
Yes.
Already highlighted some of these things. But if you can tell us a bit more of what could have been done about that source of lives.
The preliminary investigation report shows that the concrete use were very poor. 2, we also observe from the physical inspection, although we are still doing the laboratory aspect of the research, of that particular work, the physical inspection shows that it was a case of a differential settlement, settlement of the column. That is, the column goes down, whereas the other part of the building did not go down the same way. So as such, we call it differential settlement. So it was a case of differential settlement, and incidentally, where the settlement occurred, where that differential settlement occurred, there was no basket we normally call reinforcement basket, and simply because the building was converted. So there was no proper founding of the foundation. So as such, it was like
initially it was not supposed to be a story building.
Yes, it was converted. It was converted, and when a building is converted, it is always, and in fact, it is always difficult for us to get the appropriate base wherein the column will rest. It is usually difficult, because what we normally do is just to hack maybe 230 by 230 deep down. The depth, we will not be able to go to that depth. At times, it could even go as deep as 1.2 meters, or even more than that. But we will not be able to get to the depth where the soil is a bit okay for it to be able to carry the load.
What's the best thing for me to do if I want to convert my building to a story building? It's already a bungalow. I want it to become a story building.
You are going to spend a lot, simply because we are going to hack the building walls about 1.2 by 1.2 down, and we are going to deep down up to 1.2 or even more than, for us to be able to found the foundation properly. But what usually happens is that we just cut 230 by 230 mm for me, and then put the foundation, and then we will not be able to put the foundation basket. That is, we will not be able to found the foundation as it should be appropriately. It's like putting something on a base that is not stable. As such, there will be depression from one side or the other, and before you know it, immediately that differential settlement occur, the building will definitely collapse.
Wow, amazing.
Prof, I think I would want to, though you have started pointing out some of this already, like the warning signs, you've mentioned quite a few. I would want you to mention again, because Prof said something like he lost one of his friends who was just sleeping and never woke up again. So you see, human beings are there to have buildings. We are in a building right now, and there should, and you said buildings are living organisms. They don't just collapse like that. There has to be some warnings, and it takes at least some time to show you that sign. So what are these signs again?
One of them, thank you very much, one of them is the cracks. We have what we call the structural cracks. When there is a crack that cut across the horizontal element of a building, of a structural element of a building, which you normally call the beam, or it cut across the vertical structural element of a building, which you normally call the column, then we know that there is a problem. This one is a structural crack. We usually have the vertical or horizontal cracks, and when we have that, it's a signal that this building is distressed, and we need to find a solution to it. It's either we mend the cracks, but as we do have it here in this country, we prefer just managing, and then we keep saying there's no problem, I can pray, no problem, and all those. And at the end of the day, what we do have is a collapse of such a structure. That is one, cracks. Then we have excessive vibration. When the building starts vibrating, you see the beam, the slabs. When you step on the slabs, that is the upper slabs, and you see it vibrating, then it could be that the thickness is not sufficient. It could be that the reinforcements are not properly placed. It could be that the concrete itself is weak. So what should we do then is to engage the professionals to do what we call integrity certification. They do integrity certification and then tell you what to do. It's either we evacuate the people there and then we work on it and bring it to, or rather collapse the whole structure and rebuild it for what it should be. It could be as well as dampness. When we see dampness rising through the walls, going up, we need to be very careful as well. Some of the plasters as also can be flaky. When you see plasters flaky removing from the walls, then we need to know that that building is sick. Wow. That building is sick and it needs treatment.
Prof, did you just say when plasters are coming out?
Yes.
Oh my.
When the plasters are coming out, it means that the building is sick and needs to be repaired. As I said, buildings are like living organisms. They are living organisms too. And water is in the heart, or moisture is in the heart of that deterioration.
Wow, this is amazing. You know, Prof, I've entered some of those buildings and they vibrate, and I'm afraid that why is the building vibrating? That means maybe there is a problem there. And then these are cracks. In fact, the other day when we went around Send Academy, someone said, go to Apata, that some of his friends are staying in buildings that have cracks. And in fact, when he's climbing some of the stairs, he's afraid that the building is going to fall any moment. And people are living there. The other day along Bauchi Road, I even saw a school. I said to myself, even though I'm not an expert from a layman's point of view about building, I said that this is a disaster or tragedy waiting to happen. And it is a story building. Now, yesterday the governor of Plateau State said that they have identified about 12 school buildings that they think have some problem. So, Professor Job, as an expert in this field, what would be your advice to the government, to these schools, to even individuals who are living in these kind of houses, who engage in building houses that are distressed, and they just feel that, don't worry, we'll patch it up, we'll do something. There is no problem at all. Because some of them, when we talk to them, they will say, there is no problem, don't worry, you're too fearful. Nothing will happen.
Thank you very much, Prof. What we want to tell the governor is that we need to perform what we call integrity certification on all those kind of buildings that give signs of distress. And when you see anything or you see a building that is distressed, say it. Say it. Let people know that this building is likely to collapse, because we will save life when we see what we have seen. Then we should stop thinking that it's the witches and wizards that are causing all this thing. But no, it's nothing like. There's nothing like that. You see, what you sow, you will reap. If you sow a different, any other thing that is not what it should be, definitely the building will collapse.
All right, thank you very much, Professor. Okay, when you see a cracked building, say it just as it is.
Yes.
So that you can save a life.
That's right.
I think on
so
this,
every one of us has a responsibility.
Yes,
we don't say it's the government, we leave everything to the government. So all of us have a responsibility to report. If you see a building that is distressed, report that this is what I've seen. So the experts can go evaluate it. And they can do something about it.
Yes.
All right, thank you, Prof. At this point, we'll go on a short but a commercial break and we'll be coming back. When we come back, let me prepare your mind already that I want you to talk about, we have been warned that there is likely to be a flood this year. And we have a lot of us that have been experiencing such already on the plateau. And of course other states in Nigeria. So you'll be telling us a little advice on how to go about this when we come back from this short break. Our listener and viewer, it's time for a commercial break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back just after 8.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long since you've been here. You had me thinking you were dead. How's your taxpayer mansion? How was your...
Are you bored and need some company? Get a TV experience like no other on Unity TV. We are turning up the hits with captivating TV shows, electrifying political programs, music, movies, and lots more that will leave you craving. I'm sure you want to know more. Tune in to Unity TV today and let the excitement take over.
I was the head boy in my primary school, senior prefect and best graduating student in my secondary school, but drug abuse almost ruined my life.
I was on an average of 2 grams of cocaine per day.
I was taking 8 ampoules of pentazosine daily.
European shisha, cocaine.
I became a user, a dealer, and a gangster.
I saw other users drowning. I knew I didn't want to be like them, but I was already trapped.
My family disowned me.
My employment was terminated.
I sold my car, sold my house. I'll go out well-dressed and return shoeless, shirtless in exchange for drugs.
I was seeing things that were not real, and I once stabbed myself because I felt something crawling under my skin.
I contacted NDLEA and started therapy.
I spent 3 months in therapy.
I spent 8 months.
It's easy to relapse, but your mind has to be stronger than the cravings.
Drugs does not love you. You are not the one using drugs. Drugs are the one using you. Say no to drug abuse.
Unity. Unity TV. Unity.
The Financial Services Regulation Coordinating Committee, FSRCC, in collaboration with the National Broadcasting Commission, NBC, wishes to draw the attention of the public to the
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long
since on your radio and TV is the last segment of it this morning. In case you're just tuning on and joining us, Professor Fred Job has been with us, and we have been talking preventing buildings collapses in Nigeria. He's an expert in that, and so he has provided some tips on how to be able to ascertain if your building is having that to do with anything collapse. And so now it's time for you to take lead on the conversation this morning. You can just call us on our studio line. It's usual 070-323-53315. And for text messages, 0808-478-9999. Professor Proveno H. Bame is still in the studio, and together we have been doing this. And you can also throw your comments on our Facebook page at Unity Radio FM/TV. Just okay. Before I pick the first call concerning flood, you may have something to tell us. How do we go about this, just so to reduce anything if there should be a flood?
Thank you very much. The building on a floodplain is dangerous, first and foremost, although we are not used to flood on the plateau. When it comes, such buildings that are not structurally stable will definitely first give way. They will give way. I could recall one time like that I was living at Anguarogo, and there was a heavy flood as at that time, and the building, being the fact that the building is structurally built, as such, the building did not collapse. The flood came, and we ran away anyway, and then our properties were lost, but
yes.
We came back and we continued living in that place, and simply because of economy. The economy was poor as at that time, even up till now, and even more poor. The first thing to do is to ensure we evacuate ourselves away from such an area. Is very important, because safety first. Safety first. And then if we have some buildings that are not structurally stable, we should please run away from such an area when flood comes.
All right, very quickly, before I pick the first caller's intentions to want to say something on this platform. Well, I'm just using Apata, not really to say or to mean that it's only Apata that is having a crack buildings around. But I've been there myself, and I've seen it, that there are several buildings at Apata here in Jos North Plateau State, Nigeria, with crack buildings, not only Apata. And there's this warning that we're likely to experience flood. And but the economy too, like you have started already mentioning, is biting too hard. There is no one who wants to still have himself and the family under such a threat, having a crack wall and you're still there. I mean, no one will want to do that. But the economy, with this hard economy, what do you still want to say to people who are living in crack buildings?
Safety first. See, when one is safe, then you can do a lot. Safety first. When such a thing happens, evacuate yourself from such an area. Then we can also look at our drainages too. We need to evacuate our drainages so that water can freely flow. You see, stop building on the waterways. Water will definitely find its own path. So as such, we should not build on waterways. I've talked about drainages. We need to empty our drainages and make it, let water flow easily. And then safety first. When you know that this building is not structurally stable, please do yourself a favor by evacuating yourself during such an occasion.
Thank you very much, Prof. Fred Job. And the studio line is booting, dear listener and viewer. So please get ready and start calling. In the meantime, as I get to wait to have the system boot and ready for your call, this one on Facebook, Ayuba Muhammad Rabi say good morning with you people in Gangare Jos. And this one is Benjamin Akaso say good morning Unity Trend, watching you live from Lagos. Thank you. And Lamido Ibrahim, he's saying we are ready to go, no going back, inshallah. I think, Prof, this is about the proposed protest. Well, I'm reading it just because so that government should know that there is still a lot to do to avert this protest. And another one here say we are ready to go on, going back, inshallah, no going back, inshallah. Enough is enough. All right, let's begin to pick our calls. When you call your name and location in 1 minute, your submissions. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Thank you. Good morning.
Good morning, Bami, and the other guests in there. This ambassador Abdullah coming from the.
Yes, peace ambassador. It's been a while. Let's have you in 1 minute, please.
Yeah, Prof, thank you very much for liking people and doing them in the studio.
Thank you.
The issue about this collapse. At times, the authority are not looking at the soil of the place. For instance, you see there is vehicles there, past vehicles, and at the end of the day, there is pan there, past everything there. At the end of the day, then they will just come there and build a fully building, which is very bad. The soil has already soft. So please, I need more enlightenment about the soil. I know before we have Kansas soil and the other soil and the other soil. Those days, I know that in secondary school. Please, Prof, enlighten us for us. Thank you very much.
Soil.
Yes. Yes.
You see, thank you very much. Okay, shall
That's a factor, yes.
Yeah. You see, on the soil, you see, the type of soil we have on Plateau, some are clay, and some are sandy, where you have, and some are also rocky. You see, there are different types of foundations for different types of soil. See, that was why I said that we use professionals. They will advise you on what type of foundation that is appropriate. Like in that particular collapse building, they claim to have used what we call pad foundation. But when you use pad foundation for such a soil, you need to have a better base. That is what we call the baskets. The foundation thickness supposed to be even up to 450. At times it could also be up to 600 mm, depending on the type of load and the type of soil there. So, and then the depth of the foundation. At times, in fact, the one we saw there was just 1 meter. And for such type of soil, we should even go beyond that. And then we should also have a firm base of the basket. So different types of foundations for different types of soil. And that is why we need the people who are responsible for that to help us. The structural engineer will come up with the type of foundation for that particular type of soil. So we need to do soil investigation, which can be done in the University of Jos. You can come to us, we can help you, and some other experts, they can also do it. And then you know the type of soil, and then you know the type of foundation suitable for that type of soil, and the load it has to carry.
And the load it has to carry, yes, of course. Hello, good morning.
Good morning, Mr. Kuvi.
Thank you.
And the people in the studio.
Yes, you're welcome.
Thank you very much. God continue to bless you for your good work.
Amen. And you too for
calling. We're calling you from Bolsoro.
Thank you, Adeomi.
Today, Mr. Kubi, we see back then, we don't used to have building collapse. But presently now, can we say due to economic hardship, because of building materials, what you buy, the 2 mm, the 12 mm you used to have before, you know what you're having now? Even the quality of those building materials have reduced. Can we say this is part of the problem we are facing? And on the other hand, just as you have said earlier, you see that people that usually go for some tests are majorly those that have even 18 points, meaning that 60% support what they want to do. So the major thing now is in the part of the government. Let the government do the needful by bringing down the cost of building materials.
Okay.
You look for people now manipulating their way to make sure that they build their houses. But let's always remember as citizens that each time we look for a way to manage and at least compromise the way we build, there will always be consequences.
All right.
So let's always see to our safety first. And God continue to bless you for your good work.
Thank you. Okay, Muhammad Nazifi Aliu on Facebook. Thank you. Already Muri Azi Isang say good morning, Unity Trend and Unity FM TV. Distinguished gentlemen, we are blessed to have you in the crucial moment. We are blessed to have you in the crucial moment and challenging time for guidance and direction. Thank you, Azi. And he who continues by that amount of planning, organizations, and logistics required the help of the thousands, if not millions of people. It required the environment of all levels of politicians, perpetrating the actual crimes, and millions of ordinary Nigerians willfully turning a blind eye. For me, the only way is to protest. Thank you. Okay. Still about protest. Okay. Good morning. Watching from Guma. And this one is Fiyanu Abubakar. All right. Thank you. Well, you can be a part of it. Aliyu Aisha is a good morning, watching from Kano. Oh, thank you. Watching all the way from Kano. Thank you so much. And you can be a part of it by calling us live. 070-3235-3315. And if you want to send in your text messages too, you can do that via phone number 0808-478-9999. I have quite a number of text messages here. This one says, good morning, Kobe, Prof. B, and the boss, Barrister Paul Asani Zaruma. You guys are giving us free lectures every day. May God bless you. Monday, Tanko from Bida BD, I want to believe here in Plateau State. And Plasek, under the current chairmanship of Plan G, Shishak, a God-fearing man, will organize a free, fair, and credible government, local government council elections on the Plateau, as opposed to the ignoble and dishonest local government elections held by the last administration's Plateau artist for mood fun. Okay, Plateau artist for mood fun. Oh, thank you. All right, another one here says, dear could be sorry. Okay, I was indispensable medications. I will call you tomorrow. All right. Thank you. I pray that that call will result to more money. All right. My special prayer, oh Allah, you are the only supreme being worthy of worship. We associate no partners with you, and only from you alone we seek for guidance, protections, and forgiveness for our sins. Ya Allah, save us from the evil ones. Forgive our deceased. Amen. Best wishes. Good morning. And there is no name there. I think it looks like a message that will come from Hassan Garba. Good morning, Kubi. Prof. B is Officer Compose Bako. You always make your day happy, our day happy. But protest is the right of the citizens. No people suffering in countries see food scarcity, hike, papers, IPP, etc. Government is not taking actions to solve the problems of the masses. God bless Unity FM is Officer Copies Bako from Akabom. All right, okay. Let's have some few more, and then good morning, Kubi, Prof. B, and the barrister. I support the proposed protest since the government do not want to help matters. May through the way they may sit up. I don't know what Nigeria is turning into. How can a great country like Nigeria lose direction? It's high time for the people to react. Amy Longs from Agingi. Thank you, Amy Longs. And this one is saying, from Henry, good morning, Kobe, Prof. B, and Barrister Zaruma. I am appealing to Plateau State government to pay the victims of NSAS as recommended by the tribunal set up by President Buhari to address those who are victims. Barrister Paul Zaruma, your attention, please. He needs his Barrister Zaruma's attention. Okay, good morning, Uncle B and the guest in the studio. Following your analysis on the planned protests, I wish to the state that oftentimes we heard that so much money and at times grants have been released to curtail the hardship of categories of some citizens, but most of us do not see anything. Are we not Nigerians? What is the yardstick to actually know who is suffering and who is not? Government should find a way of reaching every Nigerian who are in need, and not only those who have people to cry out for them. Kaben J, U-Turn. Thank you, Kaben J from U-Turn. Time is not on our side. But then, good morning, Unity FM. Could be Prof. B, Barrister Zaruma. Thank you for educating the common Nigerian. May the Almighty God continue to guide and protect you all and deliver Nigeria from the cankerworm. But Daniel Adam Danladi Carbon Settler Market, 1 man, 1 farm, 1 woman, 2 farms. Okay, good morning. Could be Prof. B, Barrister Zaruma, and the invited guest in the house. We are so grateful for educating us economically, politically, financially, and even spiritually of the time. Keep on the good God, doing the good works, and we are urging the government to do all it takes to avert building collapse nationwide. Yusuf Lawan Sani from Bauchi Ring Road. Thank you, Yusuf Lawan. There's still a lot here. Well, good morning, could be our amiable, consistent, and passionate analyst, Professor Bamayi, and the other professor in the studio. It's unfortunate that when something happens, people say it was destined to happen when we could have averted the situations. We always want to manage situations even when it is a threat to our lives. It is high time those in charge of checking the quality of building to do the needful and stop collecting bribe. Peace is priceless. Let's live in peace. God bless Unity FM and Nigeria. Christy Izang from Bukubarot. And good morning, Cool B, Prof. B, PJ, and BZ. Only God knows. I want to know our Professor job also is captured. All right, okay. The fall of the dry leaf from the trees is a warning to green ones. When you see a crack building, it's a warning that disaster is waiting to happen. And when you see a funeral, it's a warning for the living. May we have a blessed, full, fulfilled life. Safety first. Be a good neighbor. Hassan Garba. This can only be from Hassan Garba.
Hassan Garba is very interesting personality. Yes. Prof, I think we should comment on sometimes we see the buildings marked for demolition or whatever. After some time, they change their mind and allow the people. That's why one of the people is saying that the authorities, they collect money and say you can continue your build. Because there are people who are supposed to be supervising those buildings, but they just close their eyes and allow them continue.
Yeah, thank you very much, Prof. And listeners. You see, when you see a building marked, it's not all marked buildings are meant for demolition.
Okay.
Some are that the documents are not complete. Okay. You need to submit 1 or 2 things, and then when you have submitted them, then they allow you to continue the construction.
Okay.
But it's not all marked buildings that are meant for demolition. It could be 1 or 2 things that needed to be cleared. And when that is cleared, then you continue your construction. But it is a sign that there is a problem, and that problem needed to be attended to. Those people who are also responsible for that, that is the GNPP, the town planning officers, and several of them, they need to also make sure that they do their works. Let them do what they ought to do and stop collecting bribes. The economic will be a factor, but please safety first, do the right thing, and we avert some of these ugly incidences.
One question, Professor Job. Can we build skyscrapers in Nigeria, in just Plateau State?
We can. We can. If the right professionals were engaged, the right thing done, why not? The foundation properly done, why not? We can build even much more than that, even here on the plateau.
Oh, I see. Well, before we let you go, Professor, please, what is that one thing that you cannot afford to leave the studio without, saying, especially as regards your profession?
Thank you very much. Viewers at home, do the right thing. If you see a building that is distressed, say it. If you want to construct your buildings, please engage the services of the professionals. Those people that are also in charge of regulating all these buildings, please do your work as it should be. Yes, the economy is biting hard and harder, but do the right thing. Engage the professionals. There are professionals, those people who are not trained in a particular field. We have a lot of them. Please engage the professionals in the field.
Thank you very much, Professor. We're so glad to have you today. I know your colleague will be saying how much we appreciate your decisions to be with us in the studio this morning. But before I let him do that, I would love to say this to our listener and viewer, because I'm sure a viewer and listener must have been waiting to hear an update concerning Unity FM Farm. Okay, Proveno H. Bamayi has sent his, and we have Ige Daniel Gane has sent his too. Koli Innocent Woma, Nwe is a Friday Emeka, Aisha to Kabiru, Adewumi, and we have Christiana Nenpin Polit, also Martin Tasir Agbo, and Agnes Inikia, and then Adewumi Isaiah Oyebanji. These are the people who sent in some talking money just to support Unity FM Farm. Remember, Unity FM Farm is not a marketing strategy just to have raise money for Unity FM as an organization. It is just to support just anyone who will need food tomorrow. It's an effort. We just thought it wise to just start up a farm so that there will be food to deal with the issues of food insecurity. So please, we were able to plant soybeans already. And so there's no, as others are saying, no going back to the proposed protest, we are saying no going back to Unity FM Farm. Professor, so we still wait. If you have yours, please, you can send it to the SMS, the text message line. Just remove the first digit, which is 0. The rest becomes the account number. It's an OP account. And you will see the name, Bitrus Adamu Iji. Send yours there, and we'll be happy you do. Prof, sir.
Yeah, viewers and listeners, it's been a wonderful time with Professor Fred Job. Professor Fred Job, we want to appreciate you.
Thank you very much.
For coming to the studio this beautiful morning, beautiful day. Professor Fred Job is of the Department of Building, Faculty of Environmental Sciences, University of Jos, and he has given us a lot of light and illumination about buildings in Nigeria, preventing building collapse in Nigeria. He has even told us that we can build skyscrapers. So get ready. When you are ready to build a skyscraper, you can consult Professor Fred Job. Viewers and listeners, it's been a wonderful time. And I would like to just say for those who are building, that instead of looking for shortcuts, because shortcuts will cut your life short. So don't go for shortcuts. If you don't have money to build a 3-bedroom bungalow, you can build just one room, and one room of quality, and manage it. When you get time, you can build a second room and build a third room. Instead of insisting that it must be, and then you don't have enough money, so you compromise on quality and and other things. And if you are staying in a distressed building, prevention is better than cure.
Yes.
This is the time to move out of the building. Find elsewhere to stay so that it doesn't become a disaster. We're tired of buildings collapsing, and we're tired of this loss of life. So please prevent disaster. Those who are in buildings that are disasters and tragedies waiting to happen, please get out of those places.
Okay.
So it's been a wonderful time this morning, and please don't give up on Nigeria. Keep aspiring to acquire what you require in life. In case you don't acquire, don't retire, refire.
All right, thank you, viewer and listener. Okay, I would love to say thank you to everyone who made this possible and successful. Nazifi Abdullahi and Mr. Rabiu Abdullahi too, head of admin and head of operations and programs departments, and of course our GSM Shamsuddin Kabir, DJ Abbas, and engineer Tijani. Don't forget, On the Road is coming your way, but that is after a Fizere community broadcast. We come your way tomorrow again. Do have yourself a lovely day. Bye, bye.
Mr. Politician, it's good to see you again. It's been so long.